Good morning children, welcome to Nelson School Distant Education System. In the previous session we have seen the simple synthesizing by using those 6 different methods. Okay, so in today's session we'll be going for the synthesis of compound sentences. Okay, or joining 2 or more sentences to frame a compound statement. So let's go for the example first. Synthesis means the combination of a number of simple sentences into one new sentence that could either be simple, compound or complex. So here if there are 2 to 3 statements, and if you are using those coordinating conjunctions, and then you have to join them making a compound statement. Now this thing you have to keep it in mind, as simple sentence had only one finite verb, it is very must and necessary for compound sentence to have more than one finite verb. Because if there are more than one finite verbs, okay, if it is more than one finite verb, then only when they are joined, those 2 finite verbs, if they are joined with coordinating conjunction, it makes a compound statement. And same way it is for the complex statement, where 2 or more finite verbs are used joining the subordinating conjunction. That time the sentence is called a complex sentence. So let us go ahead, and it is coordinating conjunctions. So before we start joining the finite verbs with the coordinating conjunctions, we will go with the list of coordinating conjunctions that you have been learning since standard 7th. That is the different categorization of joining, contrast, choice and reason. So in joining, you can have and, both and, as well as no less than, not only, but also. And in contrast, it is but, still, yet, nevertheless, whereas, while, only. For choice, it is or, either or, neither nor, otherwise else. For reason, it is for, so and therefore. So this you have learnt by heart in standard 7. Same, only you have to use it. Now synthesis compound, that is simple to compound. So there will be numerous methods to make the sentence compound, as if only 2 statements to join it into making a compound statement. When simple sentence is given, you have to convert into compound statement. When complex statement is given, you have to change into a compound. So these could be the synthesis during this year, what you have to learn it, and then you have to learn the transformation of simple to compound, compound to complex and complex to compound, vice versa. Now what are the steps to be followed for transforming simple to compound? Now 2 different statements will be given. Okay, now what you have to do it, because in simple you were putting a stress on having only one finite verb, but in compound you can have more than one finite verb. So here the more number of finite verbs are there, it is the less concern of yours. Next is 2 different statements will be given. Now as many as non-finite verbs you have, in simple what you are doing it, converting finite to non-finite, but in compound and complex synthesis you will be converting non-finite to finite. And when we convert non-finite to finite, those finite verbs are then joined with either subordinating conjunctions to make a complex statement or coordinating conjunctions to make a compound statement. Now convert the non-finite verb to finite verb and circle them. Use coordinating conjunctions to convert them into a compound statement, or you can simply synthesize the statement into a one statement. Make sure to use more than one finite verb, that is 2 or more finite verbs. Number 1, he must work hard to make up for the lost time. Okay, now which is the finite verb, that is must work, to make up. Now you have to keep it in mind that when simple synthesis was there, both the finite verbs we were circling it. Fine. But here what we are going to do is, if it's a finite verb, we'll put a box, and if it's a non-finite verb, we'll put a circle and change that particular finite verb to non-finite verb to the finite verb. So to make up is a non-finite verb that you have to circle. So all non-finite verbs you will circle, and all finite verbs you will put it in a box. Okay, he must work hard to make up for the lost time. So must is the finite verb, put a box. Then to make up is the non-finite verb, circle it and change it to the finite verb. Now what you have to do is, because they are just joining here, that he has to do this to get success. Okay, he has to make up for the lost time. So you can simply use the conjunction that is used for joining, that is and. So first sentence, keep it as it is, he must work very hard and, okay, just to join it, and make up for the lost time. So children, now you will have 2 finite verbs, must and make up, joined with the conjunction and. So it is a compound statement. Number 2, owing to drought, the crop was short. Now, the first finite verb is was, so I'll put a box. Next is owing to drought, means it was a drought period, or it was the time when the drought was there. Okay, so now you have to add a verb over here. So it is a non-finite verb that you are going to change it to finite, to drought. Okay. Next it was a drought period. You can write it was a drought period, or you can even write it was a drought time. Why was the crop short? Because. Okay, so this shows reason. So for reason you have to use for, so, therefore. But while using these sentences, so and therefore, you have to see that your reason comes ahead. So reason is ahead. It was a drought period, therefore the crop was short. Now you again have two finite verbs, was and was, with the conjunction therefore. Okay. Number 5, in spite of his popularity, he cannot be called a great writer. So cannot is a finite verb, so put a box. His popularity, put a circle, because his popularity, non-finite, you have to change it into finite. Okay, that is popular. So in spite of his popularity, you can simply say he is popular. Okay, so this also shows contrast, that in spite of being popular, he cannot be called a great writer. He was very popular among the people, but could not get that tag of being a great writer. So it is he is very popular. Still, you can use any of those contrast conjunctions, that is but, still, yet, nevertheless, whereas, while, only. So it is he is very popular. Still, he cannot be called a great writer. Two finite verb is and cannot joined with the conjunction still. So the sentence is a compound sentence. Number 4, he must resign on pain of public dismissal. That is, must resign is a finite verb, so put a box. Now dismissal is a word that you are going to change it non-finite to finite, that is dismissed, because he was dismissed. Okay. Now this you have to change it to dismissed. Why he had to dismiss? Why he had to be resigned? Because it was just for the sake of public pain on public dismissal. So public dismissed him, so he had to resign. So the reason should go ahead, that is public dismissed him. Because public dismissed him, he has to resign. Number 5, throwing off his coat, he plunged into the sea. Now plunged is a finite verb, so put a box. Okay, throwing is a non-finite verb that you are going to change it to finite, so you have to put a circle. Now because it is plunged, past tense, so this throw, okay, you change it to threw now. So it's just joining sentence, so you can write he threw off his coat and plunged into the sea. So again, threw and plunged, two finite verbs with the conjunction and becomes a compound sentence. Next is, this is for example, I am certain that you have made a mistake. Now, these are the statements that are complex to compound. The earlier that you have done is simple to compound. Simple will have one finite verb and one or more than that non-finite verbs. So you had to change that non-finite to finite, but the only process to be done here is to just change the conjunction. Why? Because this is a synthesis that is of complex to compound. Okay? Now complex is a statement or a sentence that is having more than one finite verb that is joined with a subordinating conjunction. So complex sentence is already having a finite verb. Okay. Now here in this case you will get the finite verbs with you. So it is I am certain. So I am finite verb, put a box. Have made mistake. Have made is a finite verb, put a box. So in this case you have those two finite verbs, so no need to change. The next thing you have to take care is, which is the conjunction. So conjunction is that. Okay, that is a subordinating conjunction. Now because it is a complex statement, you have to change to compound. So the subordinating conjunction, you have to change it to coordinating conjunction. Okay. You have made a mistake and I am certain of this. You cannot write I am certain of this and you have made a mistake. He has made a mistake, then only you are certain of it. It means you are sure of it. So it's you have made a mistake and I am sure of this, or I am certain of this. Number 2, once upon a time there was a hen who laid golden eggs. Now here was is the first finite verb, laid is the second finite verb. Okay. Next is two finite verbs, you got it. Now there was a hen who. Who is a conjunction that is used to join. Okay. Now this who, you have to change it. So this was simple to compound. So you have to make one non-finite verb and change it into a finite verb. But this is already a complex sentence. So it could have a finite verbs with few finite verbs with it already. Now number 1, that was already done. Number 2, once upon a time there was a hen who laid golden eggs. So again who we have replaced with and. It's just simply joining. So it's once upon a time there was a hen who laid golden eggs. So was and laid are the two finite verbs. Who is a subordinating conjunction that you have to change to coordinating conjunction. So it's simply joining. So you can write once upon a time there was a hen and. Because who laid it was, so I have to cut who, so I'll put it because it's a hen. It laid golden eggs. Number 3, I forgave him because he was dying. Two finite verbs, forgave and was. Finite verbs are there. Now go for the conjunction because. Now because is the subordinating conjunction used for reason. You will use the coordinating conjunction that is used for reason, that is therefore. Now when you're using so and therefore, you have to bring the reason ahead. So you have to bring it ahead. He was dying. Therefore, I forgave him. He finished first, though he began late. Again, this though is used to show the contrast. So for contrast, it was subordinating contrast. You have to use coordinating contrast, that is but, still, yet, nevertheless, whereas, while, only. Two finite verbs, finished and began. Now you can here use still, you can use but, you can use yet. Okay. He began late, still he finished first. You cannot write he finished first, but he began late. So you have to show the action that is taken first, that place first. That is, he began late, but he managed to finish first. So he began late, but he finished first. He began late, still he finished first. Then we eat so that we may live. Now this is also, why do you eat? Because you may live. Again, it is used as a reason only. So you can use two finite verbs, eat and may. Okay, now use a reason coordinating conjunction, that is therefore we eat. Why do you eat? We eat, therefore we live. If you eat too much, you will be ill. Two finite verbs, eat and will. So two finite verbs joined with a conjunction if, showing condition. Okay, now there is no such condition coordinating conjunction. So what you can do is, if you eat too much, you will be ill. So you are showing him the condition. Okay, so what you can do it, you can write you should not eat too much or you will be ill. Okay, you have to give her choice. They are giving her condition that if you do this, this happens. You give choice. If you eat, this happens. So it is, you should not eat too much, otherwise you will be ill. Else you will be ill, or you can use you will be ill.